My paranormal musing today is a question. Does belief create a gateway to the paranormal? Does believing in these things make them possible or even attract them to you? Well, I think the catalyst behind most of our intentions and experiences would be belief, right? Believe in who you're praying to. Believe in what you're praying for. Believe you can accomplish this goal that you've set. Well, this exact question was set forth in an episode of Where Did the Road Go? That aired probably months ago by now. That is my favorite podcast. If you haven't listened to it yet, go check it out. wheredidtheroadgo.com. Anyway, this question was the title of one of their episodes. Does belief create a gateway for the paranormal? I just wanted to explore this question from within my own mind, so I thought I would make a video just rambling about my thoughts on this subject, using the topic of that Where Did the Road Go episode as my inspiration today. Does belief create a gateway? My initial answer was definitely no. Just because you believe doesn't mean paranormal things are going to happen to you. And just because you don't believe doesn't mean you aren't going to have an experience you can't explain at some point. And going off of that, an interesting theory that I hear a lot in the paranormal community is that the more paranormal shows and ghost stories you consume, and any other research or investigation you do, the more interest you express in the paranormal, the more paranormal activity you will attract to yourself. So basically, people say that if you watch all these ghost shows, if you do all this and this and this involved in the paranormal, you are like a beacon and you're gonna attract stuff to you. But in my own experience, I have found this to be absolutely untrue. I consume paranormal media every day, I believe in it, and still I don't experience anything on a daily basis, and that has never changed. My paranormal experience has been quite consistent throughout my whole life. So there's not been a spike since the time that I started consuming more paranormal content regularly, no change. But for some people, interest does attract more phenomena, and I have heard many cases demonstrating that. So what does this mean? That must mean that some people might attract more paranormal activity with their interest, and some may not. But then does that depend on belief? I don't believe ghosts are going to come for me if I consume more ghostly media. Is that why they don't? I guess that's a bit of a rabbit hole. Let's steer in another direction now. So yeah, that was a brief exploration of my initial answer that no, belief would definitely not create a gateway. However, on the other hand, I think the answer to this question goes much deeper. I think belief does play a role, if nothing else, on how you interpret the things that happen around you. I mean, of course, if you believe in Bigfoot and you see a hairy humanoid in the woods, you're probably more likely to believe that you saw a Bigfoot. And if you don't believe and you happen to see a hairy humanoid in the woods, you'll probably be a little more inclined to think you saw just an extra hairy person and write it off. And that's not to imply that believers aren't skeptical to a degree, but this is just a simplification. So your belief system kind of filters how you take in the things that happen around you, right? And then there are people who seem to be born with more sensitivity to the paranormal realm than others. There are people that have seen things their whole lives or have seen things for as long as they can remember. Are these the only kind of people that will attract more paranormal activity if they carry the belief and the interest? I don't notice a change in paranormal activity in relation to my interest, but I don't have a natural sensitivity to these things at all. There's also the thought that if you're not sensitive, you can open yourself up. You can make yourself more sensitive through some spiritual practice or spiritual growth. So maybe if you aren't born sensitive, you can change that at least to some degree. And if you did that, would your belief then create a gateway to the paranormal? And what about the idea of tulpas or thought forms or whatever you want to call them? These paranormal entities that exist because we believe in them. That's like the prime example of belief creating a gateway. I feel like that's another facet to all this that's definitely worth considering. That is, if you believe in tulpas in the first place, right? So, does belief create a gateway? I guess this is a question that has no real answer. What does facilitate a gateway to the great beyond and the plethora of unexplainable experiences of humans? I'm thinking maybe it's a combination of belief, some sort of spiritual status, like how blocked you are or how open you are, and then perhaps some sort of traits that you are or aren't born with. Or maybe belief is the basis of absolutely everything we experience. I don't know. It's a really hard question. But I'd love to continue the conversation. So if anyone wants to talk about it in the comments, feel free to. I guess I'll stop my paranormal musing of the day here. Goodbye forever.